Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers' win streak has come to an end. So their 6-game winning streak is over. Their 7-game point streak extends. They lose in the shootout to the Minnesota Wild 5-4. They blow an early 3-0 lead. They had a 3-0 lead 6 minutes and 53 seconds into the first period. And then from there, Minnesota really completely took over. Now, the Rangers did have a 3-0 lead end of one, but this was a game dominated by the Wild. They outshot the Rangers 40-18. Rangers were lucky to get a point out of this one, and that's you don't usually hear that when you have a 3-0 lead, but this was just an example of why it's going to be difficult without Adam Fox specifically, as well as Filipino. Jonathan Quick was in net, and Quick was a bright spot. Obviously, when you allow 4 goals, there's going to be some level of criticism, but Quick really did well and kept them in this game, and is a reason they got a point. But I want to talk about Zach Jones and Braden Schneider. So in the last episode, discussing the injuries, I thought after how bad it was against Columbus in the second game of the season, that they would not go back to that pair, and they did. And you just can't do that. That is a disaster pair. You are going to lose games single-handedly from Zach Jones playing with Braden Schneider. Look, in Jones's case, I understand that he hasn't played, and that's tough. He has not played in a while. It's been probably 3 weeks at least since he's had game action. So to be thrown in there, I'm sure that's not easy. But wow, that's not an NHL defenseman. I've seen good things from him in years past. If you remember, he came up at the end of the 2021 season and has had sporadic playing time since the NHL level. But just turnovers, weak, not much size, just not good. And then Braden Schneider, the only way Schneider can be even semi-okay is if he has a veteran with him on that same pair. He can't be the guy. Braden Schneider gets very exposed in these situations. So I'm not saying there's an easy solution, but those two cannot be together. And I have a bad feeling that they might be next game. I really do. And look, I'm open to the idea of going with Connor Mackey, who is the healthy scratch currently, or going with the Ben Harper. Again, I want to give Zach Jones a chance. I do. But if you're going to do that, you absolutely he can't be with Schneider. That cannot be a pair. So that stood out like crazy. And so what they did is they had Lindgren with Gustafsson. I just don't think that's the move. I think, keep Miller with Trouba, of course, and you're going to have Lindgren with one of the kids and Gustafsson with one of the kids. It's just, I'm not saying that's a solution that will prove beneficial, but I'm this Jones-Schneider, I can't watch it anymore. I can't. It's a disaster. So that's one thing. And then as far as, let's talk about the forwards. Barclay Goodrow is out tonight as his wife is giving birth to their child, Barclay Goodrow's first son. And so, congratulations to him. But when he is back, for me, Brodzinski's out of the lineup. I actually like what I saw from Pillock on the fourth line. It wasn't much, but I thought that he provided a little bit of jam, a little bit of speed, which it lacks. And Brodzinski as that third line center, which just wasn't very good. I understand him. I understand why he was there, and I understand him getting the opportunity 100%. But that's just me. All that to say, losing Hedl is tough. That, and again, I just feel like the Rangers' depth is not great. That's what it tells you. Because you got to overcome these things. You have no choice. And, you're going to have... The fact the Rangers got a point, again, very lucky, because they didn't deserve it. And I thought they took their foot off the gas. They ended up taking 3 straight penalties in the first, which totally killed them. Again, the first 10 minutes were really good. And the Minnesota Wild pulled their goalie. Philip Gustafsson was pulled, and Marc-Andre Fleury came in and really wasn't tested much. He did fine, but again, Rangers didn't really do a whole lot. Keeping with the forwards, Capo Kakko just hasn't gotten it done. Just hasn't. He's been given an opportunity with Zibanejad and Kreider, and he looks like shit. He looks like shit. So if he gets demoted, don't be surprised, and I can't say I blame them for doing that. So that's one thing. But also, I don't love Zibanejad's game to begin with. I'll give him this. On the defensive side, it's been fine, but just offensive generation 5-on-5, it's just not there for Zibanejad. And that's kind of been the elephant in the room the last couple of years, is that he gets a lot of his production on the power play, but is he doing enough? Even strength offensively, again, very, very good two-way player. So it's not as if he's hurting you, as far as keeping the puck out of the net, but you want to see more. So blame goes to Kakko, but I also feel like Mika's not really necessarily, that line, even strength, just isn't giving you, that's supposed to technically be your first line, and you're not getting much out of it. So I don't love that. Artemi Panarin continues his wizardry. He extends his point streak to 11. And now I kind of go back and forth. I'm like, I'm re-correcting myself again. Maybe Gilbert, the 14 points, maybe that was the start of season. I guess we'll find out. He definitely tied Naren Turcotte. Whether that be, it's either he tied him for second all time, just not the start of season, just in general, or he tied him for the start of a season. We'll get clarity on that next time. But either way, very impressive by him. And he is, the one real driving force of the forwards, like even strength. And hey, Rangers, which they don't normally do, they actually scored 4 5-on-5 goals. So again, those first 3 goals, they were looking really good. And then it all went away. And Matt Zuccarello, he really has the Rangers number. It's obviously a very popular Ranger, was a Ranger for a long time. Probably for about 7-8 seasons or so. And Zuccarello, I feel like since he's been in Minnesota Wild, has really done damage against the Rangers and did so again tonight. So in this game, as expected, Connor Mackey was healthy scratch. Of course, Goodrow was out on, I guess you'd call paternity leave. And Igor Shesterkin is banged up. So Louis Domingue was backing up Jonathan Quick. I tend to think that Shesterkin might not, I don't think it's anything long-term, of course, but don't be surprised if Quick gets more run this week. I do feel like they might want to give Igor a little bit of a blow. So hopefully he's back sooner than later. But to be honest, no Shesterkin tonight. This might have still been the same result. I got to be completely honest. It really might have been. Quick, we'll talk about the goals against, but really Quick gave the Rangers an opportunity here. So the Rangers jump out early. Jimmy Vesey scores his first goal of the season, assisted by Pitlick and Lindgren. So this is a shot, Lindgren from the point, and it seemed like Gustafsson was on his offside. I wasn't sure what they would do, and they maybe mixed it up a bit, but I think Gustafsson was the one who went to the right side. But anyway, Vesey, it goes off his foot, his skate, no kicking motion, after it was deflected by Pitlick on the shot from Lindgren. So it is Pitlick's first point as a Ranger. It is Vesey's first goal of the season. So it makes it 1-0. And then at 5:52, Panarin scores his 6th goal of the season from Trocheck and Lafreniere. So that's the new line. Now that Heedle's out, Trocheck moves up. And we saw that trio at certain points last season. In fact, if memory serves me correct, I think that was a combination early in the season against Minnesota, and they probably could have stuck with it longer, but that's what it was. And so it makes it 2-0 on the Panarin goal. Then at 6:53, Eric Gustafsson scores his 3rd goal of the season from Wheeler and Cooley. This is Blake Wheeler's first point as a Ranger, finally in Game 11, and this was actually a really good pass by Wheeler. A pretty special pass. This is what he's done in his career. He is a distributor, and he finds Gustafsson, and just like that, 3-0 Ranger lead, and Philip Gustafsson, the Minnesota Wild goalie, is pulled. And from there, Minnesota took over. So what hurts, the Rangers killed them all off with 3 successive penalties. At 8:55, Keandre Miller, high 6, Joel Eriksson Ek. Then at 11:25, Jonathan Quick trips Marco Rossi. And then at 14:05, Braden Schneider high sticks Marcus Foligno. But the Ranger penalty kill does a superb job. And then by the time that the Schneider penalty's over, Zuccarello high sticks Lindgren, but there's no score from there. And end to one, it's 2-0 Rangers. So you feel good about things. Obviously, Minnesota was starting to take over play. They outshot the Rangers 12-7, but you feel solid. I mean, Quick looked good. But the second period, the Rangers finally, they couldn't hold it down. And at 5:57, Ryan Hartman scores his 7th goal of the season for Mermis and Zuccarello. And this, unfortunately, this was the first of a few situations where Jonathan Quick loses his stick. So he loses his stick. The puck trickles behind him. Lindgren was in the mix, but Minnesota was scrappy, and Hartman scores to make it 3-1. And then 29 seconds later, Joel Eriksson scores his 6th goal of the season from Faber and Foligno. And this was a play where Zach Jones turns it over. Just a bad turnover behind the net, and it leads to a situation where Quick also loses his stick. And that's where Igor comes in, just in terms of puck handling, which comes like Quick in terms of just straight goaltending was really good tonight. But in terms of the little things, not great. And so he doesn't even have a stick, and Eriksson easily scores to make it 3-2. And then Peter Laviolette smartly calls a timeout to keep things in check. It did settle things down a little bit, and the Rangers take a 3-2 lead going to the third. However, at 1:41, it's Zuccarello with a tip-in goal in front. His 3rd goal of the season from Brodin and Johansson. So, 3-3 just like that, and you can feel it coming. You could feel it. And then at 5:20, some more sloppy play, and Rossi scores his 5th goal of the season from Kaprizov and Boldy. So this is a play where there was a broken stick. Quick couldn't handle the puck behind the net. Brodzinski, I think, was on against for this one. Again, like that line with Brodzinski just is not nearly as good as if it were Trocheck on it. It's just what it is. And so just like that, they're losing 4-3. But give the Rangers credit. They are able to tie it up, and it's Chris Kreider, who is so good at the tip-ins in front of the net. It's a face-off win, and it was a smart move by Laviolette to have Panarin on instead of Kakko. And so it's a shot by Panarin from up top, and Kreider tips it in front of Marc-Andre Fleury. It's Kreider's 8th goal of the season from Panarin and Gustafsson. So it was actually a Zibanejad face-off win. Goes to Gustafsson, one-time shot by Panarin, and then Kreider with a deflection in front. So 4-4 at this point. And then Zibanejad takes a penalty at 12:06. He trips Pat Maroon, but the Ranger penalty kill does a great job. They go 4-for-4 on kills. That was very needed. And then at the end of the game, the puck was in the Rangers zone the entire time. Specifically, Jones and Schneider were the ones that were on and just could not get off. Trocheck had a bad clearing attempt as well. He was on just really, really bad. I can't say enough they got to be looking at this. I know that ideally you want to have Gustafsson in that top 4, but Jones and Schneider just aren't going to allow you to do that. It's just so bad. And I guess you could really go with a heavy top 4, minutes-wise, but easier said than done. And it's early in the season. Why burn out Miller and Trouba and Lindgren? And just why? There's no need for that. So we go to overtime. Back and forth action. Rangers had possession early, then Minnesota, but this was a situation where normally for the Rangers, I don't mind it going to the shootout. When you have Shesterkin, when you have Panarin and Zibanejad to an extent as well, it's not a bad spot. But knowing Zuccarello and how good, Ranger fans know well how good he is in the shootout, and knowing that you have Quick as well. Look, as good as Quick did, you can't feel as good about him as Shesterkin. Didn't love the idea of going to the shootout, and unfortunately, it was proven true. So Minnesota shoots first, and it's Zuccarello with his patented move, and it's crazy. It's such a simple move, but it works all the time, and he scores past Quick. But Artemi Panarin, Zuccarello and Panarin are 2 of the best shootout performers of all time. Simply put, Panarin's numbers, I didn't see what they were. I think he might have at least like a 60% conversion rate. Which is kind of insane. And it might be better than that. He is really amazing and makes a nice backhand move past Fleury to tie it up. Then Quick stops Kaprizov. So at this point, you're thinking, all right, Rangers got last licks. They could really win this thing. But Zibanejad is stopped. It was a decent move, but I wish he could have lifted the puck. The Zibanejad and Trocheck attempts were very similar, where they had Fleury kind of beat and they couldn't bury it home. For Zibanejad, a little bit of frustration again. I'm not going to make a big deal about the shootout, but whereas Panarin's continuing his success, Mika Zibanejad has also had a great resume when it comes to the shootout, but last couple seasons, not as good. And I think the stats back that up. So now we go to the third round, and Matt Boldy scores, and this was unfortunate. It went off the post, and I guess Quick couldn't really locate it, and it goes like off of like the back of his leg, I think, or his body, and in. So it's too bad. If Quick was simply not there, the puck doesn't go in, but it does. And so then they go with Vincent Trocheck to try to save, to try to keep this game going. And that was somewhat of an interesting decision, because I think in the Gallant era, we saw more so like Kakko is kind of that third shootout guy. I'm not saying I have a problem with this, but, just if I had to predict it, I would have thought it would have been Kakko, but they go Trocheck. And again, similar move to Zibanejad, but Fleury is able to make the save, and the Wild win 5-4 in the shootout. Rangers record now sits at 8-2-1. So still a good record, but a lot to sink your teeth into as far as this game is concerned. And definitely, no Adam Fox and Philip Hedl is going to be a problem. It just is. But look, the Rangers at least were able to get a point out of it and hopefully learn some lessons along the way. So now, this is a weird scheduling. I mentioned it last episode or 2 episodes ago, how for some reason, they have this long road trip and you were just in Winnipeg. Usually what they do is they try to group the Winnipeg and Minnesota trips together. Instead, the Rangers go home to take on Carolina, and they're back out in a different time zone to take on the Wild. Just odd more than anything else, but nice to get it out of the way. And so now the Rangers come home for a 3-game, 3 games at home. Tuesday against Detroit, who's coming off of a really good win against Boston. It's actually Boston's first regulation loss of the season, so Rangers should not be taking Detroit lightly. This is a team that's definitely improving and will, I think, pretty soon be a perennial playoff team. It took them some time, but it's starting to round into form for them. So they take on the Red Wings, who have a record of 7-4-1. So that'll be a pretty good original 6 matchup. And then on Thursday, they take on these same Minnesota Wild again at home. So hopefully they can exact some revenge there. And then on Sunday, it'll be the Rangers home against the Columbus Blue Jackets, I guess also looking to exact some revenge from an earlier season loss at Columbus. So, and then the Rangers don't play for a while after that. So 3 home games here. Winnable games, but with the state of the Rangers lineup, nothing's really for sure. So this was tough. The 3-0 lead was a tease. But it did help them get a point, and those points are very helpful. And the Rangers are going to need to kind of scrape their way to getting these. But I also think the Rangers did kind of take their foot off the gas. There was more to give here. So the depth is a concern, but I think also a little bit of a better overall effort, I think, would have resulted in the 2 points. But a pretty crazy game in Minnesota goes to the Wild. The Rangers winning streak ends at 6. The point streak continues. It's now at 7. They're 8-2-1. They will go home and take on the Detroit Red Wings.